Throughout Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief, the tensions between John and society, as well as the romantic tensions between John and Francie, are highlighted. These tensions come into play in this specific scene, where Francie tries to lure John in to admit that he's the jewel thief, even though we as viewers know that he is not. Since Hitchcock believes the purpose of cinema is to manipulate the viewer's emotions, he uses the elements of film to highlight the tensions between John and Francie to get the viewer to feel what John is feeling. In the first frame of the scene, Francie is shown in a seductive pose, wearing a white dress with her mother's flashy diamond necklace around her neck. Not only are our eyes drawn to her shocking beauty, but also to her necklace, which is obviously very valuable. Her pose suggests that she is trying to attract him to her necklace, which makes sense because she wants him to admit that he has been stealing the jewels. As the camera cuts to John standing by the window, it's made known that this shot of Francie was a form of subjective treatment, showing what John sees as he stands by that window. This subtly gets the viewer to think of what John sees and how it relates to the tension between John and Francie. The music volume increases on the screen as John moves to sit next to Francie. Here, Hitchcock uses the score to highlight the tension and heat between them. Then our view cuts to the fireworks in the background. The scene continues to move back and forth between the two of them and the fireworks. The use of these short takes show how symbolic the fireworks are in demonstrating the tensions between Francie and John. One of the most important parts of this scene is the expressions on Francie and John's faces, as both Grace Kelly and Cary Grant use their acting skills to accurately convey their characters' emotions. Francie is smug and so certain of her wrongful impression of John that she's almost arrogant, while John is ambivalent because he likes Francie but knows just how wrong she is about his character. This ambivalence is shown on his face. In Hitchcock's interview with Cinema Magazine, when he talks about actors, Hitchcock said, "Well, first and foremost, what I look for in talent is the mobility of the face." The manipulations of Grace Kelly and Cary Grant's expressions by Hitchcock is very important to his creation of the film, and the emotions felt by viewers watching this scene. Because of John's pensive facial expression, the viewer feels and emphasizes with him, as they understand how torn he is, what Francie is really like in his eyes, and how society's view of him as a thief makes him feel.
I've never had a crazier one.
Just as long as you're satisfied.
As the fireworks go off more dramatically and begin to really explode, so do the tensions between Francie and John because they start to kiss. The fireworks continue to represent the tensions between them. In Hitchcock's style, instead of showing the two of them kissing at the end of this scene, Hitchcock moves away from this rom-com cliche and instead shows the fireworks. The viewer gets the picture and is perhaps even more overcome with emotion as they see the passion between the two characters as these fireworks explode really beautifully. In Hitchcock's interview with Cinema Magazine, one of his major topics was cliches and how he sets out to avoid them. He said that he does most of his own production design for this reason and talks about a specific scene in another one of his films, I think it was North by Northwest, saying, and I quote, "Well, this has a really careful design because I designed it purely to avoid the cliche." While this scene in North by Northwest wasn't the specific one in To Catch a Thief that he was talking about, it is true that he puts a lot of thought into these scenes to avoid the cliche and captivate the audience by manipulating their emotions. This fireworks scene is no different from this style, as he demonstrated by the ending, which avoided the cliche of the couple making out for a long take, but instead cut to the fireworks exploding. Through the use of film techniques like pose, emotions, score, and short takes, Hitchcock manipulates the viewer's emotions so they will empathize with John. And the photo pictured is of Alfred Hitchcock with Grace Kelly and Cary Grant on the set of To Catch a Thief when it was Hitchcock's birthday. Thank you for listening.